Welcome. I'm Linda Goldstein, an executive coach, consultant, and Vistage chairperson, and I'm excited to have Dr. Khalil Graham with us today. Dr. Graham is CEO of Kairos Academies, which is a K through 12 school here in St. Louis. We're going to learn about Dr. Graham and his journey and motivations, his aspirations, and whatever else we decide to talk about today. So, Dr. Graham, would you please tell us about yourself and how your journey to where you are today came about? Your personal story, yeah, background, experiences that shaped your career, that type of thing.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I like to always think of myself as a kid from Brooklyn, and I've been really fortunate to be able to have great mentors and great role models, and they pushed me in the field of service. And ever since I started with my first job teaching in middle school in New York City in a summer program, I've been in education. And it's always been a tremendous passion for me, whether being in the classroom as a teacher, doing work outside the classroom as an advocate, or now my current role in school leadership. And I've just been really fortunate to be around great people and to be able to have a little bit of impact in the lives of young people across our city here in St. Louis, but also in my stops across the country.
Oh, great. Yeah. So were you in educational situations before this, back in New York in terms of uh, administration, or tell me about how you ended up here in St. Louis and CEO?
Yeah, great question. Most recently, I came here from South Carolina, right outside of Columbia, South Carolina, where I had been opening some charter schools there, which were the first of their kind in the mid cities in central South Carolina. I'd had school leadership experience in Texas and Washington, D.C. I gotten a chance to work in higher ed through my time at the University of Kentucky and at SMU in Dallas. And so overall, I'd gotten a lot of pieces of experience that prepared me to come here and really have an impact for the young people in the community we get to serve.
Okay, great. Can you tell us a little bit about Kairos Academies? I know that it's primary and secondary education, but how is it different from, is it a public school, a charter school?
Yes, we are a public charter school
Okay.
in South City, and we have middle school and high school students currently. And our goal is to really open up the opportunity for our students to be able to personalize their own experience based on the things that they care about and the development pathways that they have. And so
Mhm.
we have a model that really invests students both to be able to do things with technology, but also to really be socially, emotionally aware of who they are, how they're developing as young people, and how that's going to affect the world that they want to help build in the future.
Great. Yeah. How would one get into this school? An application, or what happens?
Yeah, we have an application to get in, but it is free open enrollment. And so any student can come. And the only thing we need is to make sure that they have an address that's in the city of St. Louis.
I see. Yeah. Um, so I'm wondering, you're so passionate about education, and tell us about your why. You know, the Simon Sinek, what's your why? And just what motivates you and what keeps you going, drives you forward.
Yeah, I would say originally in my career, my why was very personal to my experience. I'm a former high school dropout, right? I say that, just to acknowledge my own past and the journey that I went on to value education and to learn more about what kind of impact it can have in your life and in the life of those you love. As I've grown and gotten, I'd like to think wiser, but definitely older, I've really come to appreciate the why in the people that I get to serve. And whether they directly are the adults I get to serve or the students, I get tremendous passion in being able to have a small piece in helping to shape their history and help them shape their own history. And that part is really inspiring to me to have purpose-driven work where I can come in every day and know that I'm going to have an impact on somebody's life that, I have a lot of appreciation for.
Yeah, I'll bet that's a good feeling, knowing every day when you show up that you're helping these young people. So that's
Yeah.
really great. Um, let's talk about, how about some of your values? Education is one, making an impact on these young people. What would you say are some other values or values that Kairos has?
Yeah. Continuous improvement is one that's really, really important to me. Understanding none of us are a finished product and life is about evolution more than anything else as you go on a journey towards mastery and awareness and all of those things. So we talk a lot about that at Kairos around how can you be better today than you were yesterday, and how can you be better tomorrow than you are today. And so
Oh,
that's a
great.
mindset that we really push. I would also say that for me personally, have a strong value around how do we care for others and care for ourselves, right? And I think we at the school try to have that same mindset, but definitely want to make sure that I'm modeling that for others in terms of, love is a real thing, and we want to make sure that we are able to love in the way that is warm and allows for people to feel supported and connected, but also to love in a way that is direct, where you can say the honest thing because you care about somebody, because you want to see them better, because you want to see better for yourself. And so having that duality has been really important to me and in my value set.
Mhm. That's wonderful. And, something else that I was just wondering about we've talked about education and the value that it is, and I'm right there with you about that. I'm wondering, is there an emphasis on getting into college, or do you work with students to, go into technical schools or, whatever? Or is the
Yeah,
emphasis on getting into a college situation?
I think there's two truths. I think there is the truth that every student deserves a purposeful next step when they leave
Hmm.
K through 12 education. And that
Right.
purposeful next step can look very different for different families and different circumstances. If we think about traditionally, people have looked at starting their own businesses and the military and trade opportunities and higher education and had different value alignments with them, and places where they saw they either were a fit or not. But having a purposeful next step is one that you'll invest in and one that you can learn from. And so that's definitely first and foremost important. I do acknowledge that for students who come from at-risk communities and backgrounds, the access to a college diploma many times is one of the best and most direct ways to break generational poverty. So that's something that I do consider on the duality of everybody should have a purposeful next step. And if you come from a less than ideal situation, many times that most purposeful next step is having access to a college that can both push you and support you along the way.
Right. Yeah. So I agree with you. I've never heard it expressed that way, a purposeful next step after high school. And I do believe that there's so much opportunity in the trades and in other opportunities, but I personally have a master's degree and went through a traditional college education. But I'm wondering now, this is something you may or may not be aware of. Do you know about the Scholarship Foundation of St. Louis? Okay, so I was president of it for a while and I'm on the board now. And we can talk about this later, but it is a not-for-profit organization that works a lot with children, with students, and helps them get into the right school because finance and other things really come into it, and they help fund the students in some cases, and they help them as they're going through college or through a trade organization or trade school, And then we used to be interest-free loans. Now there's grants and scholarships. So I'll send you some information. And if anybody listening would like it, it's the Scholarship Foundation of St. Louis. Very great organization. So, but back to you. That was a big aside. Sorry about that. So what is your goal as the leader there or as a leader, period?
I think I've continually pushed my mindset to be, are you doing the best job in the seat while you have the seat? And understanding
Mhm.
that the job will endure, the work with students will endure, and I need to, make sure that while I have the baton, that I use it to be a good steward for our young people and our adults.
Mhm.
And so when I think about my goal, overarchingly, it is for people to feel valued, for people to be clear on the work, and for people to have some joy along the way. And so I look at a high level in that way. And as we get more nuance to grade levels and different structures and all of those things, my goal really becomes that Kairos can be a place that can self-sustain and grow and flourish in any environment. And I think if I do that on the professional side, I will be happy. And I think on the personal side, I want the same effect of me being able to flourish and thrive in any environment to be my end game as an adult and a human being.
Yeah. How long has Kairos been around?
We have finished 5 years
Five
and we're now
years?
getting into year six.
Yeah. So there's a lot of growing that can happen, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so let's see. I guess the next question I have for you, we've talked about your aspirations, your values, and Kairos and um, all kinds of things. But how do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy? What's your, lasting contributions um, that you want to do as Cairo's leader?
I hope that the legacy I have is in 50 years that one of the young people running the schools started in one of our buildings and has had a long and award-winning career with our students and taking it to levels I couldn't even think of. I would love for that to be the kind of full circle that a student is speaking at his first day as the CEO of Kairos with how many schools and students we serve and says, I remember in 2025 when I started and I heard from our CEO and now here's what I took from that and I'm going to bring it into my part of the journey. So I would love for this to keep going and continually having people from different positions who care about the org and care about the work bubble up and be able to have that type of impact.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That really is. And I think most people, at least from my perspective, I think I can very clearly remember teachers or other adults who really influenced me. And to this day, I'm grateful to them for whatever it was they did for me, whether it was be a role model or teach me something really interesting or, just have faith in me when I said, I wanted to go to this college or that or do this or that. So I think that that would be a wonderful legacy for you, and you're on your way to it. That's for sure, with the attitude you come to work every day. So, well, is there anything else you'd like for us to know about you or Kairos, or any advice you have for future leaders?
One thing I might share is I think every leader in the education space, but really in any of the reform spaces in all parts of our country, has to think about how can technology be leveraged to bring us together and create new connections. I think there's hesitancy. I know in the schools, there's always hesitancy when a new technology comes out. Chat GPT is all the rage now and all those different things. And I want to be a place where, we can continue to look at technology with the inquiry that it was set up to be used with at the beginning. And we become a world where we let those things complement us without taking us over. And so I hope that I see kids who can put the phone down and engage in a conversation. And I hope to see adults
Right.
that can be, really strategic without an Apple Watch all the time. And so we want to have all those things, and we want to make sure that we can leverage the technologies to make our world more efficient and better outcomes for all.
Yeah, it's really a balance, isn't it? I mean, I'm uh my husband says that I just sit in front of my computer all day, which I do, but I'm working.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, you do want to interact with people and, have
Absolutely.
those social skills. So, well, that's great. Um, well, thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us. We appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy man. We've been trying to get together for this for a little while, but anyway, now we did it. And I really appreciate the time that you're spending with us, and I'm so looking forward to seeing the positive impact you will continue to have in your leadership role at Kairos. So, to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you found today's episode enlightening and inspiring. I did. I really enjoyed talking to you, Dr. Graham. Stay tuned for more engaging conversations and stories. And if you have any questions for me, I can be reached at linda.goldstein@vistagechair.com. So thank you so much.